I'm going to be completely honest. I went to the Sony event to get a hat. They gave me the alpha hat. That was the highlight of the event for me. I got an alpha hat, guys. All right, welcome back to the latest episode of Game Day Glare. I'm Lance. I'm with E, and this is the podcast for sports videographers. How you doing, E?
Very good. How about yourself? Are you enjoying the nice weather?
Finally. And when this episode ends, your birthday has just passed. So you are 1 year older. So how's turning 50?
Calm down. You wish. No, still a spring chicken.
That's it. But, still mid-30s. How's your mid-30s treating you these days?
Yeah, much better.
All right. So right. It's a full year for E, but it's halfway through the year for us. So today's episode, we're just going to be talking about what we've done this first half of the year, what we want to do the second half of the year, and, new equipment we've tested, things we bought, because he did a purchase not that long ago. I did a purchase not that long ago. We want to just kind of catch you guys up on what's going on with us. So today is just a very light episode of what the last 6 months of Game Day Glare has been for us. So where do you want to start, E? You want to talk about last episode we talked about your outdoor adventure with the game, but honestly, when you look back at the last 6 months, you have done quite a bit of sporting events. So you want to name off a couple of them, or you want to talk about your favorite one? I know the 4-period overtime one is not on the high part of your list, but why don't you tell our viewers the kind of events that you filmed the first half of the year?
Well, to be honest, I don't think I filmed that many, especially for someone that people. I think I filmed a lot less that people would assume, thinking that I'm on YouTube bragging about being a sports videographer. People assume that I'm at sporting events 3 times a week, but which is not the case at all. YouTube is my main focus, so I'm at that point now where I'm like, they say like those who can't do teach. It's like that's kind of where I am, I think. But yeah, I filmed some hockey. I filmed it was winter, so in winter there's not that much going on in terms of like the spectrum of sports here in Montreal. Other than hockey, there's not that much going on. Like there's cool stuff like indoor sports like volleyball, for example. But yeah, so I filmed. Now, like basketball is starting. That's the point I was trying to make. Like basketball season is starting, and football season is starting as well. I think preseason just started for the CFL. So yeah, I'll get more into that. I'm excited about it. Actually, it brings more options to the table. Because otherwise, if I wanted to film some basketball, it was always like school stuff. So it's it's just different way to handle things, and a lot less going on in the background, so a lot less visually interesting, but easier to film in terms of access and getting my second camera, getting my shots, things like that. So yeah, there's pros and cons, but either way, yeah, I'm more excited about what's coming. Just the opportunities to film some football, some soccer, some basketball. And yeah, getting out there and getting more shots. But to be honest, the other thing as well is that like I realized that lately, I think in the last few months, I was very heavy on like the gear reviews and like cameras and lenses and things like that. So I want to go back and talking a bit more about editing. So that's where my focus is right now. But I do need to go to an event to have footage to edit, so it's not like it's gonna stop me from going out and filming. But yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. What about you?
So my first half of the year was hockey. When I look back at it, so had the Habs regular season, had Four Nations face-off, which was honestly a great experience. It was really nice because I actually wasn't filming the games. I was just doing interviews, pre-game interviews, during the game interviews, post-game interviews. So it was really, really nice to just kind of be able to enjoy the moments, especially like when Canada and US had 3 fights in the first 9 seconds, where usually I'm so focused on filming for broadcast that, I'm paying attention to that. But depending on what the director asked, you're could be filming other things at that moment. So it was a really nice experience to actually, just work with the NHL on that, and meet all these players up close. Get to interview them at crucial times, either especially during the game, because you really get to feel what the players are going through. Like we did one interview, and US just scored against Canada, and then boom, 2 seconds later we got an interview with a Canadian player, Mitch Marner, and you could feel that he's annoyed that they just got scored on, but now he's got to be nice with us and answer our questions and kind of be positive. And there's still 40 minutes left in this game. There's lots of game left, and it's neat to see how players switch on and off. What else did we do? I did the PWHL game at the Bell Center. That was really cool event. I feel like the women's hockey from the last year when I filmed it to this year has definitely evolved and gone a little bit better. Gotten a lot better. It's getting faster. I find the gap between the first line and the fourth line closing, because obviously every team on the first line, they have all these Olympians, they have all these great players. And then since it's a newer league, newer sport, the lower lines were kind of like, there was a gap there. So I feel like that gap is closing, and it's only going to get better, especially with like expansion and exciting news in that league. So that's pretty cool. And then I was lucky enough to have the Habs playoff run. I mean, it only lasted 2 games at the Bell Center. But it's been a while, right? Since we had COVID where we had playoffs, but it wasn't full crowd. So it was a good, 8 years without having a sold out Bell Center for the playoffs. And I kind of forgot what that ambience was like, that experience. And it was nice to be, involved in that again, because I feel like our team is on the up and up. And it was just, it was gravy on a season that, we just finished kind of rebuilding, and we weren't supposed to make the playoffs. And even at some points during the season, I didn't really think we were going to make the playoffs, but we did. So it's positive. And I know now next year not to plan anything in the end of April, beginning of May, because we will definitely be in the playoffs again.
So you're one of those people who think that, now that the best players on the team are pretty young, the Canadians are going to dominate for the next 5 years?
I definitely think they're on the right path, because if you just look at their farm system, so the AHL and the ECHL teams, they're both really, really deep in the playoffs. So, and we get our players from those teams. So the better those affiliated teams do, the better our team will do when they have room for these guys to get in. So I think management's done a great job, and I think that we are really, really in the right direction. And I've been there a long time. It's been 23 years, and we've never won since I've been there. So I would like to get a championship before I stop, because I realize I'm probably closer to the end of my filming there than I am to the beginning of my filming there, because a lot of wear and tear on this shoulder. So I'm going to have to eventually make some life decisions here. I still got a couple years left, no problem, but it's getting there where I'm going to have to, eventually make a decision next 5-6 years. So hopefully we can get that chip by then. Also, personally, my company, I did like a little rebrand, created Lance Inc. instead, because people always make fun of me. They're like, "Oh, Lance, freelance," and I think it's funny. Yeah. So I just named it Lance Inc. and it was just easy. So it was just easy to do. But I've been busy with a lot of corporate projects and that. And I'm trying to work on a project where I get E&L Studios back together, where E might come on a road trip with me. We're not there yet, but it's in the works. So no, things have been pretty good. I mean, we've been staying consistent on our podcast, been staying consistent in our businesses, and that's what this is all about, right? And creating community. I just read you before we got on the podcast. One of our listeners wrote a nice email telling us how we kind of help him along his way whenever he needs some motivation and stuff like that. So it is very, very nice to hear that, our podcast is helping people, and that's what we're here for. We're here to share our experiences so you guys don't make all the same mistakes that we did. And hopefully, we can give you a tip or two, and even you guys, we can learn from you guys too. So write in and let us know what's going on in your lives too, because, that's what it's all about. It's about, networking. So
yes. Well, speaking of networking, yeah. There's another thing you did that you didn't mention there. Like, you went to a Sony event where you got to test some equipment. So
yes.
What was the?
Okay, well, first I'm going to be
on that one.
I'm going to be completely honest. I went to the Sony event to get a hat. They gave me the Alpha hat. That was the highlight of the event for me. I got an Alpha hat, guys. It's upstairs. So my plan was to put it on for this podcast, but I forgot it upstairs. So maybe I'll take a little break. I'll run, get it, and come back and put it on. But I got to test the holy grail, the new lens, the 50-150 f2.0. And I owe Sony an apology because I kind of bashed it a couple of shows ago and said I'll buy 2 Tamron 35 to 150s instead of spending $5,000 on that lens. That lens is nice. It's big. It's not that heavy. It's sharp. It looks really, really well. And I talked to the Sony rep and I said, okay, listen, I really assumed it was taking place of the 70 to 200 in price range. Okay. And then she kind of looked at me and was like, no. And I asked why. And she goes, well, so the 28 to 75 2.0 is a $4,000 lens. And I didn't realize that. I was like, oh, yeah.
I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah. So, and there's a 2.8 and a 2.0. So it kind of goes with that pricing. And the way that they look at the 50 to 150 is it's going to replace like 3 lenses.
Yeah, I actually did try it.
Yeah. So it's going to replace 3 lenses. Like, so instead of buying the 50 1.4 or 1.8, the 85, and then the 135, you have it all in the 150. So it does make sense price-wise if you're looking at all those prime lenses, because it does it all. Now, the Sony event I went to, it was run really, really well. So you had conferences with speakers, or you had workshops. So I did a bit of both, and I did product photography, video, portrait photography, talking head video, and they also had a sports section. So the Caribbean were there, and they had their photographer, and he basically showed 2 lighting setups. So one with like LED lights for like cool kind of media posts and that, and then he showed the standard headshots that he would do with, like, he brings in fake AstroTurf, you have a black backdrop, you have your player do poses and stuff like that. So it was really nice to see what other pros are doing and what settings are there. The thing is, when I go to these events, I kind of felt like I had imposter syndrome. Like, you go there and you think, oh, are these people better than me or whatever? But after I left there, I'm like, okay, no, I have more years experience than some of these guys, and we're all on the same technical terms and how we're thinking that. So it was kind of nice and eye-opening to feel like, okay, I'm on the right path. I am in the field I'm supposed to be at, and I am at a top level. Because when you go, I'm not trying to judge myself compared to these other people. I'm trying to learn from these other people. But then some of the things they're teaching, it's very beginner, so I already know what they're talking about in that. But it's nice to definitely see their perceptions of it. And they had some cool setups. Like, they had one guy had an FX6, and they had FX6, and they had a backdrop with all lighting, and it was just 3-point lighting, and he was showing like dolly moves in, dolly moves out, and he kind of went through the interview process. And it's kind of nice to see how other people interview people, how they get them to feel comfortable. Because even I try and do it. You've talked about, like, on media days, when you're doing headshot, you play music, you try and get the players loose, you try and get them like feeling comfortable, and that's what it's all about. It's about our main job sometimes, just capturing people to be natural and capturing them when they're comfortable. And it's hard to do that when you have a camera shoved in your face. So it was kind of nice to see other people's techniques and learn. But back to that lens.
But is that event for everyone? Is it like, how do you get in there?
Yeah, it was. So on Gosselin, they had a Sony event. I actually got an email to come for it before. But
say Gosselin is a store, by the way. For people
it's
a camera store.
So Henry's, Gosselin, all these camera stores, they were advertising the Sony event, and Sony puts it on twice a year. And it's a good way for them to showcase their new stuff. And basically, like, I didn't know what to expect, right? So it says, like, you could bring your own camera gear. So, guys, I'm a bit of a geek. So I brought my FX3, I brought my A7 IV, I brought both cameras, I brought lenses, I had it all set up. But I didn't realize you just give them your license and you could take any camera you want and any lens setup you want to try. So the 50 to 150 was a little bit different because the rep had it on her. So it was the only one available at the time in Quebec. So she let me have it for 5 minutes, and I got to, take some photos, and I tested the video quality. And you just bring your own SD card, you put your SD card in the camera, and you take that footage home and you take a look at it after. So it was very, very cool. But for anyone who's looking to buy a camera or a new lens, it's a really good opportunity to get that in your hands, because even the 50 to 150, I would have thought it was a lot heavier. It is a bigger lens and it's bulky, but it feels really good in your hand. Like the weight balance of it's really, really good, and the image quality is outstanding. Yes, there's no stability in it, so I was kind of surprised, because I thought for that price range that there would be a little bit stability. But I mean, I saw some of the photos that some of the other guys were taking with it, and I was like, whoa, okay, this is great. And especially like for interviews and stuff with the bokeh in the background, the 2.0 it's good. I probably wouldn't use it all the way open. I'd probably still use it as a 2.8, but I think that focal range covers you a lot, especially in sports videography. Like you would probably only need that one lens, because the 50 is maybe 35 to 150 is maybe a little bit better for wideness, but I think you could really, if you're filming basketball, I think that would be a perfect lens for basketball. 50 when they're up close to you, and 150 when they're at the other end of the court.
Yeah, it's just it depends where you're filming, because like 50 on the baseline is quite tight. It's like if you're underneath the basket and you want to get like players driving, well, you still get it, but like you get just like a close up of like their upper body wear, which is fine if you're filming just for like horizontal, like landscape. But if you're filming for to ultimately do like a reel, it's a bit tight.
I mean, for me, I would like to get that lens. I do find it still very, very expensive for my needs. But I mean, there is definitely a niche out there for it, and there are people that really, really see the value in it. And if you are going to buy, like, like I said, a 50, 85, and a 135, then yeah, that's the lens for you. I mean, you're saving a bit of money doing it. So, I mean, the build quality, the image quality, it's top notch. And obviously, your Sony camera always works a little better when you're using Sony lenses. It's funny, like I try to tell myself I don't see it, but when you have it on and everything is so instant, yeah, it does make a difference, especially on the focus and that. It doesn't really hunt. The focus didn't hunt at all when stuff crossed in front. Like it was really, really locked in. So I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, I think I agree with because the idea of like it replaces 3 lenses. I get the theory behind it, but in the real world, not everybody are going to own those 3 lenses. So it's not like, I was going to buy 3 lenses, but now I can just buy this one. It's more like I'm going to buy this one to avoid buying 3 lenses. So it's more of a marketing, it's more of a line that they throw out there to make it make sense. It's like saying, oh yeah, this car is just the same as having like a motorcycle, a sedan, and a truck. It's all wrapped into one. But like no one has these 3 things. Like you just, so it's like if I'm going from scratch, yeah, it makes sense. But yeah, anyway, like it's not a very good analogy, but you get what I'm getting at. I mean, like it's yeah, but yeah, for that price, if you were to buy all these different lenses, top value, like you're going for like great lenses for photography or for interviews and things like that, you want all these primes, you might as well get that, and it's still going to make sense money wise. But other than that, yeah, I think it's a lot of money for what it does, especially for sports, because like I said, I've said before when we talked about that lens, I think in sports, and to be clear, I am definitely guilty of like the lens that I bought, the 16 to 35, is a prime example of going overboard for something that no one's going to notice. So I am definitely guilty of doing that. But I tend to like try to go, I basically, whatever I can control, I go all the way in to get the best quality possible. But then at the end of the day, no one notices but me. So yeah, just take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. But like what I'm saying is that the sharpness, all this, the high end stuff that comes with that lens doesn't really get noticed on an Instagram post. But do you see a difference between that and someone filming with like a budget camera and a kit lens? 100%. Like that, you definitely see a difference. But you don't see the difference between that and like a Tamron 35 to 150, or a 70 to 200 f4. You'll notice that like on the screen at full quality, but you won't notice it on social media, is what my point is. So it just depends, and especially in sports where everything moves around, you're zooming in and out, there's a lot of details, a lot of stuff going on. Like when you're filming like an interview and you have a nice close-up shot of someone's face, a nice prime lens will look way better than the kit lens. Like you'll notice all those differences. But when you're filming sports and everything's moving around and there's all these different colors and the lighting's constantly changing and everything's moving, that's when you start losing a lot of those details and you can't really tell what's better than what. Like you probably will be able to tell in some shots, but not all of them. So that's why like an investment like that, you have to think twice about who are you really doing this for? Like, are you really doing this if you think that this is going to get you more clients or make your videos better and well, think again. But if it makes you happy, then go nuts. And you can afford it, obviously. Which is what I tell myself.
I think it really comes down to workflow. Okay. Is it going to make my workflow easier?
That's true. That's a good point.
Like, listen, I have this obsession. I really want to get a prime lens, 50 millimeter 1.4, because I know for interviews this lens is killer. But I never first of all, it's expensive, but workflow wise, it's harder to use. I have to have my camera, my tripod positioned exactly where I need it to get the best shot. Where when I have a variable lens, if I have a subject who's taller or shorter, because, a lot of times on these corporate shoots that I do, I have multiple people coming into the same area, right? So they're all different shapes and sizes. So I need that variable lens. I just adjust a bit and I'm good to go. That makes my workflow so much easier than moving that tripod every time. And it's something silly. So when you're looking at lenses and that, think of how am I going to use this in a real world situation? Because yes, I want that 50 to 150 because it's cool. It's a great conversation piece. It's sharp. It does everything you need. But at that price point, I'm better off to get the Tamron 35 to 150. Or maybe I don't even need that focal length. So maybe I'm better off with a 28 to 75. So really figure out what fits into your workflow. Like you, when you were buying your Sony lens, and we had plenty of conversations off cam, you had a Tamron 17 to 28. Now, you needed that extra range. You needed the 16 to 20 to 35. That's what you really needed. The 28 wasn't enough for you to punch in. So it fit into your workflow. Yes, it's a more expensive lens. Yes, but it is saving you from swapping out now all the time. So it's helping your workflow. I'm just trying to make you feel better on the purchase because I know you debate it for a while. But that's why we purchase these things. It's to make our jobs easier.
I never brought my 17 to 28 to sporting events. Like I probably did once or twice, but for the most part I didn't because I felt it was useless. Like it was good for like a few establishing shots and that was it. So I just figured like I'll just do it with my 35 to 150. I'll go to 35, step back a few feet and just film it that way. But now that I've got the 16 to 35, you're right. I bring it. Actually, I don't think I've used my 35 to 150 since. I basically bring the 16 to 35. I do a lot of wide stuff. I get in people's faces. I walk around. I get crowd shots. I do that sort of stuff. And then I put on the 70 to 100 and I do everything else. So, and the good thing is that now when I'm filming with the 70 to 200 and I'm doing like close-up shots from afar, I've got stabilization on it, where with the 35 to 150 I didn't. So I'm still keeping the 35 to 150, but if I see that that's always what ends up happening, who knows, I might sell it.
I also tested another lens. So my buddy, he does these hockey tournaments and stuff. So he does like say 4 weekends of hockey tournaments. So every year I go one weekend and I do some video stuff for them. I give them clips, I give them highlight reels and stuff like that. And he asked me, can I do photos at the same time? So now I'm always willing to practice my photography. I do take product photos. I do take photos for people. So we actually spoke on a older podcast a couple weeks ago that about renting gear. So I took the leap and I rented a lens. I rented a 100 to 400 for this tournament. 400 was probably a little overkill. I didn't really need it, but listen, for $100 for the week to rent this lens, it was well worth it. So I played around with the Sony 100 to 400 f4.5, and for photography, wow. I put it on my A7 IV, and man, some of the shots I got were great. Like I can get so close in on these little, and it's all little guys playing hockey. It's all minor hockey. So the parents all really, really appreciate it because we just uploaded the photos on the Facebook group on their website, and you could just take what you want. I wasn't charging for photos, but now next year maybe I will. Maybe I'll have a site where you can go and download each photo you want for $5 or whatever it is. But it was really, I never really used that focal length before. Like the 70 to 200 I've used, but 1 to 400 was a big jump. And I did do some video with it too. It has stabilization, so the video looks really good. The zoom, like it's hard to zoom in on the too much because when you get 400, you're too close to the action. So I try to keep it, wider, like halfway range, like say 250. Sometimes I go 300, but when I want to get photos of the goalie at the other end, boom, I put in a 400 and crisp. So it was kind of cool, but I kind of caught myself in that I got 2 cameras now on me. So I actually took a little video. I should share it. I have this Peak Design neck strap. So I have this big lens, this 100 to 400 hanging, but when it hangs, it automatically unzooms. So it goes all the way, I guess, because it's an older lens, it's rental, so it's not as tight, the focus. The zoom is a little loose. And then I have my FX3, but I only have one hanging from my neck. So I keep having to put down my FX3, take photos, come back. It worked out. I mean, I want to use my FX3 so bad because I had just gotten it at the time. So I'm like, oh, I got to use my FX3, I probably didn't need my FX3 at all. I probably could have done everything just with my A7 IV because the A7 IV, there's just a little switch. So once you have your color balance and your settings, you just switch from photo to video. It would have made my job a lot easier, but I ran it as A7 IV was for photo, A7 III was FX3 was for video. But I did test it in the A7 IV for video too, just for fun. But I was really, really impressed. And honestly, renting a lens for that occasion made sense for me. And it was the first time I really had to do that just for something fun. Like I've done it before. I rented camera setups that for bigger client stuff. But for this, just something to help out in that. It was a cool experience. And I really, really enjoyed trying that lens. And I don't know, it got me out of my comfort zone too, So it was important for me to grow and try stuff. And, if I take a bad photo, nobody sees it. I'm not posting it. So I wasn't worried.
Yeah. So you have any other things you're looking to either buy or at least rent or take a swing at just trying out over the next few months?
So I just got the FX3 upgraded and I just, rigged it out. So I got like a V mount battery. I got to go get a new XLR mic. So I want to get a new XLR mic. I'm looking at the Rode NTG series. They're a little pricey, but also I could use it for talking head videos where I'll have a boom mic over the person's head. So I'm looking to get that.
Well, I'll be testing. Shit, not in a hurry. Wait a bit. I'll be testing. Comica is sending me a shotgun mic that's also like I think it's XLR. I'm not sure, but it's also, it can be like wireless or record internally as well, I think. So it's like 32-bit float internal. So yeah, I haven't got it yet, so I don't want to say things that don't exist, but it's something like that. It can do a lot of things that you typically don't see on the shotgun mic, but I don't know the quality. I haven't tried it. So
send it over your my way when you're done with your review. There are exactly a couple things I want to add to my kit though. I'm trying to have a more portable light kit. So I had mentioned on the show that I have a Zion Molus X100, which is the size of your iPhone, but it's a 100-watt kit. So I'm thinking of getting 2 more of those. So I have like a 3 set light kit to travel fast with. Because having these Godox ones or even aperture lights, they're great, but they're big. They're big. They're bulky. For quick sit down interviews and stuff like that, I can get away with these Molus ones. I did have an issue with one though. I don't know if any viewers have it out there. It comes with a great battery pack. Battery lasts about 35, 40 minutes when you're on full power. And my battery died. Like it was dead, and I probably used it. It died within 6 months. I reached out to them. They had me go back to the store that I got it. They exchanged that battery right away. It was no issue. So supposedly it was an issue on earlier models, and now it's fixed. So that's the only thing that I would say to be careful about. But I usually plug it in anyway. When I go to shoots, I usually bring an extension cord and have all my stuff plugged in. But I am looking to expand my light kit too, because it's very important to have a good light kit, especially if I'm for my corporate stuff where I'm doing talking head and that. So that's. But what about you? What other gear? I know the lens you're waiting for a while, just because you were basically waiting for an event that you could really use it. So what about you? Like, I mean, let's talk about the first day you used it, because you had an event the day you got your 16 to 35. So you just got it, opened the box, and boom, jumped in the fire with it. So what was your first reactions, and tell the viewers about your day, because that was kind of a pretty interesting day too.
Yeah, well, I think we talked about it already on the show. To be honest,
Did you
with
really?
the 4 overtime game. Yeah, it was no, it was good. It was good to get, because actually it goes back to what we were talking about last week, when I was saying I was filming the outdoors game. Um, at the Aki game, I was able to go upstairs again, like the second level. Actually, like there was no fans there. They just sold like the lower bowl. Um, to fans, so I could go on the upper bowl and shoot the crowd below, and not have people in the way and not feel bad about standing up and stuff like that. So it was perfect. So I was filming sometimes, like especially during the overtime, waiting for that goal, hopefully from the right team. Like I would just film with a super wide shot of the crowd and get the reaction when they scored. They finally did score a goal, and so yeah, it was a great shot. So yeah, it's fun for that stuff. It's also fun when you're doing crowd. Like I would my tasks as well. Like at the beginning was to, when doors open, just to capture um the crowd coming in and all that sort of stuff, like to people walking in the door or lining up outdoors and all that sort of stuff. So it's cool to like get close and get like a wide. I'm a big fan of like wide shots from up close, where you get someone in the foreground, but you get also a lot of the background. You can see everything behind them, but the person is still like right in front of you. They're not like super far away. So I'm a big fan of those shots, whether it's in cinema or whatever. So I like to do that type of stuff when I can. Obviously, with sports, you can't always be in someone's face while they're doing their sports, but with everything else around it, you can. So I try to make the most of it. But originally, like the idea, I pulled the trigger when I was going to that. Well, it wasn't that particular game; it was the game 2 days before. Um, but originally, I bought this more to do like interviews and well, not interviews the way you talking about, like more for my videos, for my YouTube stuff, because I wanted to do more like vlogging style, going to hopefully go visit like professional teams and show the viewers how it works, and so being able to film myself talking and also potentially film a conversation with someone else while I'm there. So having something that is wide enough so that it can capture all that from up close, just me holding a camera. Um, so yeah, that was the main reason why I got it, and also figured that when I'm filming myself at those events, whether it's just like putting like my FX30 on the tripod next to me, than having like a wider, because typically I'll have like just a prime. I have like a 24, so I usually put that on it, and so now having like a 16 to 35, I can use it to get, first of all, a wider shot, because I can't put the tripod too far away from me. So having a bit of a wider frame will help, and also having the opportunity to zoom in if I do need to, because sometimes actually it's the opposite. I kind of need to get it tighter if I'm getting a shot of me like showing product or whatever the case may be. So yeah, having more versatility from that point of view was another. It was more for my YouTube videos than for client work, to be honest. But so far, I've used it mostly for client work. So you never know.
But the 16-35 is the go-to YouTube lens. Like all the creators who do talking head stuff, vlogging style, that's what they use, the 16-35, because it has such a big range. What's the difference between the G1 and G2 though? Like, because when you bought it, did you even look at the G1 or you just went right to the G2?
No, I went right to the Mark II. Not to be honest, I can't really remember what the difference was. I know it's like a little bit sharper, like they always are. Like it's always a little bit sharper, a little bit this, a little bit that, but nothing major. Like it wasn't like night and day or anything like that. It's a little bit better in every category, but there's not like one feature that the other one doesn't have. It's not like it has stabilization and the other one didn't, or anything like that. It's just a little bit better, and I think like because it comes down to like at the end of the day, all these lenses are photography lenses. Like we use them for video, but like cinema lenses are not totally different, but it's a whole different.
They're anamorphic. They are completely
Yeah, and they're way more expensive, and they're not bifocal, but like what's the word when you can zoom in, put manual focus and then you zoom out and you're still in focus. That's a cinema lens thing. Like with the lenses that we
my
all
broadcast
use.
lens does it. That's what I do with my broadcast. I zoom in all the way, focus, pull out. And
That's the cinema lenses. That lens is probably worth like $20,000. So it's a different, more. So yes, so it's like there's a difference. That's why like the lenses that we buy at 500 or 5,000, usually those are all like photography lenses, and first of all they can't do that. Like you can't zoom in at one focal length and then just zoom in and out and keep focus. And but that's one thing amongst others that it doesn't do. But like my point is that with those lenses you're limited, and you've got like things that you can't really do, you can't really achieve. You have to play a bit more. Well, obviously there's autofocus and things like that, but all that to say that like there's when it comes to like a Mark II, for example, it just makes all these little limitations because when you'll zoom in, like if you watch like a Gerald Undone, for example, like it'll zoom in and then you'll see the difference between the Mark I and the Mark II. Like the chromatic aberration is better, and on the edges, because usually like the middle will be just as sharp on both, but on the edges on the Mark One, you'll see that it's slightly out of focus and it's not as sharp, and it's all these different details. But that's more of a photography thing. There's like you're taking a photo, but then you either want to print it or you want to crop in, and that's when you start noticing little imperfections. So it's really like when you're doing that type of stuff that you notice like a big difference between the Mark I and the Mark II. But if you're using it for video and on top of that, it's not just portrait, like filming an interview like from up close, it's sports, you're not really going to notice much. But if you're an idiot like me, you're like, well, I want to go for the best of the best, because after that it's just downhill from there. So I'll take the best and then I'll lose quality, but I'll still be okay. So you spend the extra $500 or whatever it was, and then you cry at night.
But when you're buying gear, honestly, if you can figure out a way to get the top quality gear, yes, it's a little bit more. It's worth it. It's worth it. It's like when you buy clothing and stuff. You can buy a $5 t-shirt, a $20 t-shirt. Well, hopefully the $20 t-shirts is better quality and it lasts longer. And that's the idea with this gear is, future proof it. Like you bought that lens, you see it being valuable for your YouTube, you see it being valuable for clients, so it was worth the purchase. It's just it's always a big pill to swallow at first, but once you start using it all the time and you see the value in it, like you could probably sell two lenses now, your 20, your 24 and your 17-28, and that put it towards your.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, you can sell the stuff, and also like if you have a kit lens or you buy like the cheapest lens that you can afford and things like that, ultimately, when you buy you're going to want to buy a better version at some point if things keep going better in terms of the quality of your work, and also getting more work and stuff. So you once you buy a better version, that older one becomes obsolete. You're never using it again, and you're probably not going to get much money for it anyway if you try to sell it. Where when you buy a high quality lens, you're going to keep using that lens forever. It's not like a lens loses quality over time. There might be a better, like a Mark II that comes along at some point, but for me, coming from nothing, I'm gonna go for the Mark II. But if I already have the Mark One, it's not really worth it buying the Mark II unless you're getting a good price on selling your Mark One. But like I said, unless you're doing like photography, like the difference is not that big to go through all that. But my point is that like a good lens will literally last your entire life, where even a good camera you're going to replace eventually, and a bad lens you're going to replace eventually. So at least with lenses, I know that if I go for quality, I can keep it for a while, for a very long time, and it's just like, from 70 to 200, I'm set. I don't have to worry about that anymore. So especially for someone like me, that when I do buy, I tend to go with the highest quality, but I don't buy a lot. Like, I'm not, so many people reach out to me asking me about gear, and I'm like, sorry, I've never used that. Like, I have no idea. Like I can't answer your question. Like, I don't know. I know what you know, which is what Google says. Like, I'm not like a gearhead. Like, I'm not always buying stuff and trying out equipment. Like, I use what I use, and I buy the best, so I don't have to buy anything else. And yeah, that's pretty much, I'm very simplistic in that way.
Yeah, once you build your kit, you're set, right?
Yeah.
Like what tools, your toolbox, you have your toolbox, these tools work for you. You go with that. I mean, obviously there's always new products coming out, there's always new things that are enticing. I mean, luckily in your case, with your YouTube channel, you get to try out some stuff. So it definitely, gets you into some gear, but you're not focused on buying gear. Now, what let's talk about game day glare, momentum, and that where we're going. We've been doing this now for what, 60, 62 episodes. Honestly, I'm having a good time doing it for our viewers in the future. We're going to try and get more guests on. We've covered all the major sports, but we will reach out to industry friends and stuff like that, and get more guests. But please, like, reach out, ask us questions, tell us what you guys are into, what you're looking for. Is it you want more storytelling? Is you want more upcoming gear stuff? Tell us what interests you guys, because we want some feedback. We want to know what you guys are into. Like, we had a soccer guy on 2 weeks ago, and that was because we had lots of guys like Rogerio. We had him on because lots of people wrote in about soccer and that. So please, guys, keep the comments coming. We appreciate it. I do apologize sometimes for the delay. It's hard. Life gets in the way. You read the message, you're like, "Oh, I'll get back to you later." Then you kind of forget, and it's a week or two. So sorry, nothing personal there. It's just sometimes, you're just busy, and it is hard. Balancing work, podcasts. You don't want to get burnt out. You got other things going on in your life, and it is a grind, right? But we're halfway through this year, and I look back at this year and I look at all the content that we put out. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm proud of
No,
it.
that's
I
true.
mean, it don't mind. It's not like it doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like extra stuff. It's a show where I'm talking to one of my good friends about stuff that we talk about when the camera's not rolling anyway.
No, that's a good point. I was gonna say also, like, people, like, in terms of like people reaching out. Let's say, like, if there's people seem to like what when we interview, different people in the industry. So if there's someone that you would like to hear from, especially if you know them,
Mhm.
definitely reach out to us and let us know, because yeah, we're always looking forward to talking to people in the industry that do something, well, that we do, but like even better when they bring something to the table that we don't know anything about and that we're genuinely curious about, and kind of be just like any other listener would, like, just have the same type of questions, and interested about the same thing, and bring those things to light. So yeah, if you have suggestions in terms of guests or topics, or yeah, interviews, definitely let us know. And if you want to put us in touch with people you'd like to hear from, do that as well.
Yeah, go for it. You know what? It's interesting whenever we have guests because, I mean, we've worked in pro sports for many years, and you think you know how everything goes, but every facility, every team, every organization runs differently and does different things. So it's always interesting for us too, who we feel like, oh, we know the insides behind, behind the scenes of this sport and that. And then when you have guests on and they explain their point of view in that, you're like, oh, I didn't think of it that way, or I've never been in that situation. So it's fun for us too when we have guests because we get to explore different teams or different challenges through them that, things that we haven't encountered ourselves. I mean, don't get me wrong. We face many challenges, many stuff throughout our sports journey, but it's always nice to hear what other people are doing.
Yeah. But also, yeah, just when they have like a different way to do it than you do, then that's what's you'll learn a few tricks here and there, and it's fascinating to see all these different how differently some people get to the same point at the end, basically.
Yeah. Alrighty. Before we get going, we're halfway through the year. You got any big goals or anything planned for the next 6 months? Something you want to achieve? Something you're trying to do?
Well, yeah, there's that series, like I was saying, where I'm trying to get access to like big sporting teams around North America and the big leagues, and try to basically show you like a day in the life. That's something that I'm trying to put together. It's not easy. It's a bit complex because you gotta go through hoops with PR and all that sort of stuff. So but it's in the works. But so yeah, hopefully because I try to I'd like to feel like I've been doing a lot of the same stuff, and so I'm trying to look at different ways to spice up the channel a bit, and then just make a different concept, different type of videos, shake things up a bit. So yeah, that's pretty much my goal for the next few months.
Cool.
What about you?
Honestly, so I have two goals. Like Game Day Glare has helped me build my brand and start getting it's only been a couple years that I've been really focusing on my own company and reaching out to clients, stuff like that. So Game Day Glare has definitely been a big part of that. I want to make sure that we keep growing and we keep putting out good content there, and we keep having interesting conversations. So that's one goal. And to expand my company, like I rebranded, working on new content packages. I'm working on a plan where I get actually to maybe come on some shoots with me and some road trips with me and stuff. So we're trying to make that happen. So maybe we'll have a E&L hit the road series. We also talked too that we will probably take a week or two off, or 3, depending, throughout the summer. Because E told me he needs a vacation, and it's tough being a YouTube star and a podcast star all the time, and life does get in the way. So we'll take a little bit of a hiatus this summer, just for a couple of weeks. We'll definitely give you guys a heads up. But I'm really just trying to grow, and I have like all these ideas for my personal brand and personal videos that I want to do. So I really want to start focusing on some personal projects too, because it can't always be about for other people. Sometimes I feel like I gotta be creative for myself. So that's what I'm trying to focus on the side. But it is tricky, right? Like, you got clients, we got our podcast. I don't want to spend all my free time at a computer editing and doing stuff like that. So I'm trying to create systems where it's easy content, where it's not too much editing. It's more story focused. It's more to the point. And then if that goes well, I'm going to hopefully pitch that to my clients too, because it saves us both time. They get more content. It's less time working on it. Maybe I can lower their price. I doubt it, but you never know. But yeah, those are the ideas that I'm working on right now. But I'm enjoying this so far. And honestly, I can't believe how fast the first half of the year went. And I'm excited for summer because, there's always opportunities with like as CFL or tennis, and there's lots of stuff going on in Montreal. So there's always new gigs, sporting gigs to film. And it's always fun tackling those challenges when they come up. Yeah.
Amen.
All right.
Well said.
That's it for this 6-month recap episode of Game Day Glare. Take care, guys.